Where do you expect TCU to land after 3 teams in front of them fall? The truckwreck.com fan text is open at 877-881-1053. Please leave your name and city you're texting from. But yeah, congrats to Texas for beating Kansas State. Bijan Robinson, 30 for 209. That's pretty outstanding.
Oh, and he took a nasty boy hit, hurdling a guy pretty successfully, but he was getting upended, and then another dude came in while he was like upside down. Another dude came in and just speared him in the back.
Yeah.
And it was like a scorpion back-breaking, just extremely painful looking hit. And then I guess he bounced up and he was fine.
He's tough.
He did. He's fine.
It looked
He's
like,
good.
oh no.
He's going to be a top 20 pick, man.
It looked like oh no on the scoreboard for TCU again. 21 points in the fourth quarter to beat Tech, and they remain undefeated. Coaches poll TCU up to number 4. Texas is at 18. Should UT be a 6.5-point favorite in their game coming up this weekend, Wolchuk?
No, but I have been saying all year long, and TCU fans are not going to like this, that I did think this would be the game that TCU drops this season. Now, they'll probably get the rematch in the Big 12 championship game, and it's hard to beat a team twice. So I think TCU will have one loss, and they will get that revenge in the Big 12 title game. But I'm a bit shocked that Texas is a 6.5-point favorite, even though they're at home. That's stunning.
That's crazy to me. I think Texas has a heck of a chance to win the game.
Absolutely,
for sure.
but wow.
You're saying you're a field goal better on a neutral site?
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a little bit weird to me. It's very weird. And TCU has had games where they've had to climb back and get victories, but you've seen Texas botch games where they're the leading team and then they end up finding ways to lose, and that's not just this year, but just under Sark in general. That's a weird line. I did not know that until just now. If you had me guess that, I'd be like, is it dang near a push since it's Texas at home?
Maybe Texas gets the home points.
Right.
But 6 and a damn near touchdown favorite? Come on.
It is 6:30 on ABC, by the way, at 877-881-1053. If you have thoughts on this, would love to hear from you. Leave your name and city you're texting from. How about Georgia exposing Tennessee a little bit? Did they prove they're an imposter with the big boys, Wolchuk?
I don't think Tennessee is an imposter. I think Georgia just reminded the rest of the country how good they really are. And that defense, their secondary, super athletic. Stetson Bennett plays well in big games. They've got 2 potential first-round picks at tight end, one this year and then Bowers next year. Georgia is the best team in the country. And I think that they're probably going to win back-to-back national championships. I think Tennessee still has an outside chance to make the college football playoff because, like I said, if TCU does drop a game, I don't know that the Big 12, especially based on the first college football playoff rankings, is getting the respect by the committee to have a one-loss team in. So I still think Tennessee has a shot to make the playoff, especially now that Bama lost. You have a 2-loss Bama. They're not going to get in.
It's miserable when you can't get first downs, and that told the tale of the whole game. 2 of 14. That Georgia defense just too much, Chief.
Dude, the Georgia defense was playing very, very well without their best player, which
Nolan Smith,
which was very, very interesting. But the crowd was, I think, something that played a factor here. Tennessee, for as tough a schedule as they had and winning some big games, all of those were home games for them. Alabama, Kentucky. They did go to LSU, but that was a day game LSU.
And it wasn't the same LSU team.
Right, before LSU really got cranked up. So this one, being on the road at Georgia, that environment was nuts, and they couldn't really run the ball. And then Tennessee had done a really nice job at stopping the run as well defensively, and Georgia was able to just kind of have their way with them. It was a very impressive win for Georgia, in my opinion, but I do still feel like Tennessee is still one of the best 4 teams in the country.
Do you think they'll get that love from the committee tomorrow night and be ahead of TCU?
I don't think they will out of the gates here, but I do feel like Wolchuk, where Tennessee could end up still being in the top 4, and even the AP poll has them sitting at 5 right now.
Yeah,
like that was not all that bad of a loss.
And to me, like I think TCU should be 3. I would put TCU ahead of Michigan. I think Michigan is an imposter. I don't think Michigan's a top 4 team in the country, personally. I think they're Blake Corum or bust. I don't think they can really throw the football super effectively. I don't think that defense is as good as it was a year ago. They still play good defense, but they can only run the football. I think TCU would be 3, in my opinion, behind Georgia and Ohio State.
And you think that's where the committee will put them as well?
I hope so.
How about Clemson getting punked by Notre Dame? At 8-1, where are they?
Clemson, I don't believe has an opportunity to now get into the playoff. I mean, they should be somewhere between 8 and 10, 8 and 12 even. They're gonna take a massive tumble. I mean, Notre Dame was unranked, and they're gonna need to bench DJ. It's time to move on and go with Austin's own Cade Klubnik and move on with him, much like they did with Trevor Lawrence and moving on from the senior that they had, Kelly Bryant at that time, but. DJ Uiagalelei just isn't as good. They tried. They gave him all the opportunities, and he's just not the guy there. They need to move on and go with the true freshman. And I did think that Notre Dame had a chance to knock off Clemson in an upset. I didn't think he'd be 35-14 in blowout fashion. They just can't move the ball offensively.
Yeah, and how funny is it that it's Brian Kelly with LSU having his biggest signature win of his season and his in the new era of LSU, and then on the same day, Marcus Freeman, new head coach, replacement of Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, has his biggest, most signature win as well, all on the same day. It was Broadus was talking about it all week that Notre Dame was going to win, and it was the most obvious bet of the week too when you consider Clemson going into Notre Dame was a 3.5-point favorite, and it was like, really? This doesn't make that much sense to me, but it was a blowout. I wasn't anticipating that, but Clemson has not looked good all season.
No, they're to me, I don't even think they're a top 10 team. I mean, they've got a very good defense, but offensively, they're so inept right now.
Okay, who looks worse right now? OU, who had Baylor run all over them and can't do jack squat, or the Aggies, who did I see they're 2-8 in their last 10 games against FBS opponents? How does this even happen with that much talent?
Dude, it's bad. And I will say to their credit this weekend, and we talked about it on our BegQL show, Walchuk, because it was pretty funny. Just like hours before the game, everybody was reporting that there was just a flu situation running through the Aggie locker room. And so they ran through the list of players that were out, and it was an insane number of Aggie starters and second-string players that were missing that game. So, to be fair, like it was starting left guard, backup left guard, starting center, starting quarterback, bunch of wide receivers, all their defensive ends. Like it was a bad day for A&M from that standpoint. And it's gotten even worse because Walchuk used to be one of the voices for these people, right? At Denton Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Well, their superstar
Anthony
linebacker.
Hill.
Yeah, Anthony Hill Jr., 5-star, number 1 linebacker in the class, committed to the Aggies back in July, and now he is decommitting from Texas A&M.
Yeah,
so
it's a tough scene.
Oh, and guess where he's looking to go now?
Texas?
Texas, yep.
Yeah.
Losing will tear you apart, buddy. You know?
Oh, for sure.
Losing will absolutely gut you. Okay, 9-4-0. Texas will win by 14+. TCU has had the opponent's starting quarterback leave injured in the first half almost every week. Well, you never know. Could happen again. You know, sounds like they got something going there for them.
Man, I didn't realize we had this big of a Michigan Wolverine fan base.
Yeah, there's a lot of people coming after you right now.
Which is fine. I'll take this. But when Ohio State beats the crap out of Michigan, just remember that we had this conversation. And I don't have any hate towards the Big Blue. I like Michigan. But I'm just letting you know Michigan is not as good as they were a year ago.
You love the Fab Five documentary.
I do.
30 for 30.
9-8-9.
I like Harbaugh and those pants.
TCU would lose to Michigan by 50. Big 12 is a joke. That's a strong take.
The Big 12 is not a joke.
The Big 12 is way better than the Big 10.
One of the most impressive conferences. Like their best team and their worst team, there's not much of a gap because we've been calling it the no bad teams conference.
Yeah.
You don't have great, other than TCU has been pretty dang great. But across the board, every game is pretty difficult in the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, I would say Michigan would fit in quite well with the Big 12. Be one of those teams that, is up there usually. Okay, what else do we got here? The Aggies were bad before their team got sick with the flu this week. That's no excuse. Yeah, it's been a number of games, going back to last year where it has really started to fall apart for them. And I don't think you can move on from Jimbo Fisher. I don't think you're going to get a better chance than Jimbo Fisher. I would just say, hey, go back into the lab, get new assistants, do what you need to do. But, this right now is a pretty massive disappointment that you can't at least be more competitive with dang good talent.